The 6'6" sophomore guard Isaiah Evans for the Duke Blue Devils is arguably the very best three-point shooter in all of college basketball. I'm extremely excited to dive into his game today, talk about his strengths, weaknesses, areas of improvement, and what to expect for him as a 2026 NBA draft prospect leading up to his sophomore campaign for the Duke Blue Devils. If you do enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Like I said, Isaiah Evans, one of the best shooters in the draft. We're going to discuss that skill set a lot in today's video and how that opens up the rest of his game. But before we do that, I want to give a huge thank you to CBB Analytics, collegebasketballanalytics.com. They are working with me right now, allowing me to use some of their data to best break down some of these draft prospects for you. And we're going to use a lot of their data in today's video on Isaiah Evans. So shout out to College Basketball Analytics. Make sure to go give them a visit. Go check out some of their packages that they have to offer. And I'm telling you right now, they've got incredible data that will help you learn more about these college basketball prospects than you could ever even imagine. And I think with Isaiah Evans, specifically, the first place that we want to start is with the plain catch and shoot opportunities for him. And there's a little bit of nuance I want to talk about in this video, specifically looking at his footwork, his release height, release speed, and his quickness into his shot. And I think all of those areas tie together. So as we go throughout all of these clips of him as a jump shooter, I want you to pay special attention to all of those areas, specifically his footwork. And I think this is a great example here in early transition against Auburn. This is on the move. He's catching this running downhill, and look at his ability to set his feet. He's not wasting any movement here, and he has a very repeatable high release point, and I think that's going to be a huge weapon for him, not only going into his sophomore season for the Duke Blue Devils, but also transitioning into an NBA career down the road because of that high release point, the quickness into his shot, and the consistency in his footwork. He's able to rise up and bury shots off of the move, which you're going to see very consistently in today's video, but he's also somebody who gives you elite range and the ability to quickly fire. This is not even a great pass. If we go back to the catch point here, notice it's a little bit outside the shooting pocket, but again, all in one smooth motion, he's able to rise up and release over the top of a closeout defender. And you're going to see that here consistently too. Not only when he's on the catch here, he already has his feet set square to the hoop. If we highlight where his feet are pointing, you're going to notice very consistently he has the same base with both feet pointing toward the rim. Now, I'm not one of those believers that they need to be directly pointed exactly at the basket in order to make shots. There's a lot of history, examples throughout NBA history of guys who don't necessarily have that consistent footwork who are still very good shooters. But I do think specifically for Isaiah Evans here, his ability to catch without having to reshuffle his feet, without having to hop into jump shots. There are some guys, especially throughout the college landscape, where for a rhythm standpoint, they have to hop into their shots or they have to get their feet set after the catch, and that doesn't apply to Isaiah Evans. He actually is ready prior to the catch, which makes his ability to shoot even better. Notice he's hopping into his catch there. I think the timing, the quickness of those releases, and it really stems from his ability to get his feet set. Again, here he is a little bit off of the move even, and he catches in rhythm, in stride, and is able to immediately rise up, taking advantage of the Boston College defense here. And you're going to notice this one too. I think with a really hard closeout from the Boston College big man, without wasting any moments or time in that space, he's able to maximize rotations and beat rotations because of his readiness to shoot. And I think readiness is a key word when we're talking about Isaiah Evans, to be completely honest with you. Think about his role he had last year with Duke. The minutes were not consistent. Began the year pretty much riding the bench, didn't have many opportunities at all, and he stayed ready. And I think ready is a huge word for him to describe how his freshman season went. And I think he's ready for a big breakout year going into year two with no Cooper Flagg, no Tyrese Proctor, no Sion James, no Con Knipple. This team has completely had a facelift, honestly, for the Duke Blue Devils, and I think one of the best returners is going to be Isaiah Evans, and I think he's ready to have a big impact on this team, and I think specifically playing for John Shire is going to be a great weapon for Shire, especially now with no Con Knipple, who was honestly Shire's go-to man last year and designed off-ball movement. You're going to now see, I think, Isaiah Evans fulfill that role a bit more, and he played into it quite a bit last year as well in his limited minutes. What you're going to see here first is a staggered screen for him where he comes running out toward the wing. I want you to watch his footwork on this. and go back to those main mechanics that we talked about. Immediately on the catch here, he's able to collect his feet, rise up, and this is where that high release point I think matters a ton. We talked about that earlier. Look at the outstretched arm here. He's still able to effectively rise up above that. There's a lot of similarities here for me to Tim Hardaway Jr. If you've watched Tim Hardaway Jr. play in the NBA, you know he has an extremely high release point. He gets a lot of lift on his jump shots because he uses his legs and base extremely well. That's exactly what Isaiah Evans does, and it pays off a lot in the college game right now because of his ability to shoot over either smaller defenders or defenders who aren't in elite positioning prior to his catch. And when you have someone who is so adept at playing off of the move, and that's exactly what Isaiah Evans is, one of the best off-ball movers we have in the college game today. Notice his ability to set things up. This is going up against eventual first-round pick Will Riley here for Illinois. Maybe a little bit of a brush moving screen here from Ngungba. But again, the feet are set, the high release point, even over the outstretched arms of a 6'9" Will Riley, it's not enough to prevent a make here. And this is one of my favorite ones, coming off of a handoff off the top of the key. Look at, again, the footwork. He has no dribble here. Hasn't even put down his first step after the handoff. Watch where his feet land. This is elite footwork from Isaiah Evans. As you can tell, again, he's getting his feet square to the hoop. He's got a very good center of balance in this situation, and I'm going to play it a little bit further. What I specifically want to point out, remember, his momentum at the time he's coming off of this handoff is pulling him this direction. But one thing he does very well consistently is avoid letting that momentum pull him away from where he actually wants to shoot. And he shoots within a straight column vertically, and I think that's a huge tool for anyone who wants to be a movement shooter, anyone who wants to be a functional half-court fit, especially in Jon Scheyer's offense, which has a ton of off-ball movement and a ton of set play design. This is why I think Isaiah Evans is destined for a huge sophomore season where he's going to shoot the ball a ton and shoot it very effectively, very consistently. It's because of his base fundamentals and mechanics, and it allows him to line himself up, make shots. Now he gets a little bit of a bounce there to go his way, but again, he's setting himself up for success with very limited dribbles, very little time of possession per touch. He's still finding ways to impact the game in his limited minutes he had last year for Duke. Here's another off-ball action, a floppy action. And look at when he catches with space. This is one thing I like about him. First of all, he doesn't really need the space, but he does take his time when he has it to line himself up, make sure he has the shot ready to go down. Here's another off-ball action after coming up to get this the basketball. He gets off of it quick, and it's going to turn into a flare screen here with a step-up screen from Ngungba off the basketball. Another very creative play design here from Scheyer. And with the space, this is another area I think about Isaiah Evans' game that is important. He shoots with range. I mentioned it earlier, but he is several feet behind the college three-point line at this juncture in this example, this clip. But he's very comfortable from there. He's able to get that to go. He's not going to have issues adjusting to the NBA three-point line. You're going to see that exact same play design here now against George Mason. Another one that he's just going to bury with good range. Here he is flying off of another stagger screen. He's going to pay that off. I think you guys are getting the gist here of what Isaiah Evans is as a player off the basketball. Now he takes it to his advantage as a curl. So you might say, okay, well, in the NBA he's going to get chased really aggressively. That's what Army tries to do here. But this is where some intelligence, some off-ball understanding of, hey, where's the space? Where am I actually open curling off of this screen is the best case scenario for him, and that's exactly what he does. He gets all the way to the rim for an and one opportunity in what was a blowout game against Army. This is another example where just intelligence, right? Initially, the Louisville defender here in the ACC championship beats him to the Ngungba screen, but he hand fights, gets back into position, and this is where that range, again, very, very many feet behind the three-point line, still able to rise up and knock it down with consistency. But it's not just the design movement. I think that's another important thing I want to talk about. His impromptu movement is actually quite good as well. Here on this drive by his teammate against Incarnate Word, he lifts up the wing. And that little lift, especially with Ngungba's rim gravity, which if you watch one of my recent videos on gravity, you'll understand what I'm saying. This drive here brings over this second defender, right? Here's that help defender for Incarnate Word, which forces a third guy, number 5 here, to step in to cut off this Ngungba dive. And that opens up Isaiah Evans. You might say, well, he's wide open right there. Why would he need to move? It's to alleviate a passing angle. And this is where his intelligence off the ball is really good, because on this turn, on this stride stop by his teammate, he's wide open. on the wing, and that little bit of relocation gives him a bit more space from his defender, but it also makes the passing angle easier for his teammate as well. Here's another great example off an offensive rebound by his teammate. Watch how he relocates off of the Cooper Flake catch, pushing down into the corner, gives him a little bit more timing, a little bit more space to knock down that shot off the catch. This is another great example here against UNC. This is a big ACC matchup, and they're going to Cooper Flake in the mid post. And what's happening here now, you're having a big man dive to the hoop once again, Malawatch here, and it puts a lot of pressure on this tag guy for UNC, who's trying to help out on this dive cut. And again, with the spacing here, the court balance, something Duke does very, very well consistently, even when they don't play with a ton of pace, their spacing is always good. And with that, as the tag man picks up the roll man, or the dive man, you're going to notice Isaiah Evans lift on the weak side to the break and get a wide open three-point look there. This is another great example. If you guys know what roll and replace is, this is similar, but a little bit different. He's not in a replace positioning here, but he's going to roll and lift. So as the Duke big man Ngungba here rolls, we notice that Isaiah Evans, is lifting from the corner. Again, really putting a lot of pressure on these tag men. And this is something John Shire coaches very well. But when you also have an elite talent like Isaiah Evans who can pay off these opportunities, connect on the opportunities off the catch like he does, that impromptu movement where it's not designed set plays, but just understanding what the defense is trying to do, taking advantage of that space, moving into the open areas of the floor. He can be a zone beater for you, and you're going to see some relocation as well after he gets off the basketball. And these are some special moments that I think really do paint a picture of him being a very talented off-ball player in the NBA, something that excites me and intrigues me a lot about his NBA career. This one right here is really the special one. This kind of gives me vibes of Ray Allen in the NBA Finals back in those series against the San Antonio Spurs in 2013. The Chris Bosh rebound, the relocate back out to the corner, momentum pulling him backwards, still rises up steady and knocks down the three-point shot. So let's take a look at his shot distribution. You might say, well, all you've talked about with Isaiah Evans so far is the three-point shot. And to be honest with you, the reason for that is that was pretty much his whole game in his freshman season. Notice he shot about 150 three-pointers in his freshman campaign, played about 500 minutes, so a pretty high volume of three-point attempts on a per-minute basis, and only 18 shots directly at the rim, 7 shots in the paint, non-rim field goal attempts, and just 9 mid-range shots. So in today's era of analytics basketball where you want three-point shots and rim volume, Isaiah Evans is at least checking half that box for you. I think there's hope that Isaiah Evans going into future seasons for his career where we can see that rim volume tick up a little bit because he has been efficient at the rim, 12 of 18, shot about 67% at the rim this past year, and decent efficiency as well. They're, again, very super low volume. So don't take all of this as gospel. Take it with a grain of salt, but there are some at least positive indicators that he can be an effective finisher at the rim, which is what we're going to look at now. And it really stems off of his ability to shoot the ball and the kinds of closeouts that he draws. Here he is at SMU. The defender closes out extremely aggressively and off balance, and he rips through, immediately goes. Pretty crafty finish at the rim as well, driving to his left, finishing with his right. Now, this is one I think he could have shot, honestly, but the Florida State defender leaves his feet, and he splits the gap here. This is probably one of his best gathers from the entire freshman season. He splits the help and gets all the way to the rim with a crafty below-the-rim finish. Here he is in transition. Again, he has the ability to kind of hang, make some contested finishes, and you're also going to see some above-the-rim play as well here against Syracuse. Now, he's a good athlete, not a great athlete. I don't think he's going to stand out on an NBA floor athletically, but he definitely can handle his own a bit. He was a former 5-star recruit for good reason. Obviously, his shooting was at the center of that, but he can get to the rim a little bit, finish. I think this is going to be a key test for him moving forward, is how well he can consistently do these things. The finishing is going to, I think, come in waves where teams just run him off the three-point line really aggressively. But the biggest question, I think, really stems from his self-creation in general, because that was not an area of his game that we saw at all, really, as a true freshman for the Duke Blue Devils. Now, a couple of examples, a couple clips you're going to see in here, but a lot of them are still going to be assisted field goals. I think if you're looking at Isaiah Evans, you want to picture him as a 2-dribble max kind of player. And I think that's actually a good thing, especially in today's NBA. You want decisiveness, you want quick decision making, and you want players who are ready to play off the catch. And I think that exemplifies Isaiah Evans' skill set in a big way, where he's able to take space, knock down open shots off the catch when you give them to him, attack really hard closeouts, or flow into quick hitting actions like this get and go off of a pick and roll here, where he gets the basketball and goes immediately into an action. Here he is off of an offensive rebound. This is where he's going to take that one sidestep dribble with an escape dribble here. Again, there's not a lot of crazy stuff in here. Now, this is the Duke scrimmage from earlier this month, and you're going to notice that maybe they're going to try and stretch his game from where he was as a true freshman. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things to watch for me. Here he is on an actual get action, gets the basketball, rescreen, and you're going to see him rise up. Now, again, this 1-2 dribble combinations. He's not going to be a super high-volume handle kind of guy. There's another 2 dribble off of a get and rescreen. So I don't think the self-creation is ever going to take a massive leap. If you do look at what he was doing last year, he ranked in the 99th percentile on assisted field goals made per 40 minutes, and just in the 19th percentile on unassisted field goals made per 40 minutes, and over 82% of his total field goals last year were assisted, which ranked in the 5th percentile from a self-creation standpoint. So he is not going to be a prolific self-creator at any point in time. So if you're wondering about that potential, he doesn't get to the free throw line. He doesn't create for himself off the dribble really at all at this point. Again, I do think Duke will stretch him a little bit more this year. I think they're going to rely on him just a bit more. They do have an awesome group of talent coming in with Nick Kamenia, the Boozer twins, obviously, Dame Sarr, a whole bunch of different talent coming in for Duke. So it's not like they're going to be shy on talent, but I do think Evans is going to be in a slightly bigger role this year offensively, both on and off the basketball. So I think the biggest thing, and people are going to look at this as a huge negative. You're going to say, well, you said that his potential is a little bit lower, that you're questioning his self-creation tools. How can I buy stock on him? It's really simple. In the NBA, you need players who are great off the basketball, and Isaiah Evans is that, and he had a huge impact off the ball for Duke this past season, even as a freshman in limited minutes. You're going to notice with him on the court, Duke's offensive rating actually skyrocketed a bit, going up from 125.6 with him off up to 132.6. And I think the biggest one here for me is the team three-point attempt rate. Duke, already a very progressive offense in college basketball, shot 42% of their total shots as threes with Evans off the floor, but they really turned into a flame-throwing three-point centric offense with him on the court, where half of their total field goal attempts were three-pointers with him on the floor, and it had a huge impact on their true shooting percentage as well, climbing up to nearly 64% true shooting as a team with him on the floor. And again, you're noticing that all of their offensive metrics for the most part, besides free throw rate, climbed. And that's a huge testament to his decisiveness off the catch, his ability to space, move off the basketball like we talked about. And even though, yes, I'm questioning his ceiling and questioning his self-creation tools, it doesn't mean he can't be a huge impact on an NBA offense, especially with how heliocentric the sport is, with teams really putting the ball in the hands of their best players. Someone like Isaiah Evans can be a nice ancillary player off of that, who gives you easy doses of three-point shooting, which every single team in the league needs badly. Not only is that a huge tool for a team, but it also gives you players, someone who you can either draw plays for, use as a ghost screener. We'll see if Duke does that much with him this year or not. But in the NBA, I think there's a lot of easy avenues for him being productive, whether that's in an Isaiah Joe role or in an even bigger expanded role where he's a little bit more central to the team design, kind of like what we've seen from Duncan Robinson, Malik Beasley in other situations. So if we do look at Isaiah Evans as an overall player, and here's his stats overview, specifically the 62.5% true shooting percentage ranked in the 94th percentile, the three-point attempt rate, which is really what you're drafting him for, 82% three-point attempt rate, which I love, by the way. That's what I want from a shooting guard type of role player. 96th percentile there. The three-point percentage, not only was he a great three-point attempt rate guy, but he also connected on a ton of them. Over 41% of his total three-point attempts were made this past year. Now, a little high on the turnover rate. I think the playmaking needs to take a significant step forward for him to ever draw any kind of lottery consideration at this point in time. But pretty solid usage rate as a role player. That's where the quick trigger, ability to play off the catch and make quick decisions is really important. And then you're going to notice the defensive stuff, not pretty at this point in time. His block rate, not great. Personal fouls, I mean, not the end of the world. Now, he doesn't really get active in the stocks department as much as you would like either from someone you would want to be a lottery pick. But I do think we have seen strides forward defensively. This is going back to the scrimmage here. And I think the attention to detail, here he is as the low man tag guy, and he actually makes the right read here, jumping out to the corner, getting his hands in the passing lane, which springs a transition opportunity for Team Blue, which Isaiah Evans himself pays off in this clip. Here he is fighting through a zipper action and gets up to the basketball, then fights over the screen. Now, the screen navigation, as you can tell here, still needs quite a bit of work. A little reliant on that hook to get over the screen rather than his footwork to get close to the body of the ball handler here. But he does fight through it and then meet him at the rim, ultimately forcing a miss and what was a double block in this play. Here he is now defending number 7. You're going to see him switch on an off-ball action. I think the timing here was all really good. And then this is where the off-ball awareness, I think, is taking some steps forward for him defensively. Walls up at the rim, actually gets a block, forces a miss. Now he's not able to scrap the basketball away. But if you go back to last year, some of the things he did well defensively too was defending the post a little bit, whether it's fronting or three-quarter fronting in this clip, which you're going to see. I thought there was some good attention to detail from him defensively at moments last year, and I think if we can see just a little bit more attentiveness, a little bit more effectiveness off the basketball as a stocks defender, and I'm not expecting him to become some kind of stopper here, but I do want to see him get in the passing lanes a little bit more, force some more turnovers, cause a little bit more havoc defensively, because there is a lot to love on the offensive end. We talked about, the movement shooting, whether it's designed or impromptu, and then also just flat out the value of a catch-and-shoot guy with elite gravity from the three-point line. I think Isaiah Evans is going to be a very good player for a while. I think he's somebody who can easily fit into any NBA context, any NBA offense. The questions are going to be about his defense, his ancillary playmaking, which at this point still does beg for a lot of help moving forward. He's made some really easy, mundane reads. Can he grow his game to beat a little bit more complex reads and be a little bit more dynamic as a facilitator, a passer when he is on the ball? And how much will Duke stretch him to do that this year? I think those are the big questions. But I really hope you guys did enjoy. Thank you again to cbbanalytics.com. Really appreciate them and all of their work. Make sure to go check them out. Link will be in the description for that site. Thanks all so much. Hope you did enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.